Now, I think I was too quick to judge the watch brand that I'm featuring in today's video. I've been aware of this brand for quite some time. They promote quite a bit on Instagram, and my first impressions were that they're a little bit of a sort of fashion brand producing the sort of watches that neither I or you would be interested in. But then they produced a sort of comic book drawn watch, a white watch with black accents, and Jody reviewed that watch. I have to say, that watch went a little bit viral and people started to notice this brand, including myself. I went on their website and discovered that actually there's a lot more to this brand than I expected, and I'm going to share some details with you about this brand, but I'm also going to review one of their mechanical automatic watches. Of course, I'm talking about D1 Milano. You may already be familiar with this brand. If not, then you're going to learn a little bit now. This brand's been around for around 11 years. They sell watches in 156 countries. They have 27 staff, and actually, they produce some really quite interesting watches. They like to use unusual materials. Some of their designs do look a little bit familiar, but yeah, their materials are really quite interesting. They produce polycarbonate watches, nylon watches, which is basically plastic, ceramic watches. Of course, they produce stainless steel watches. They make watches with automatic movements, quartz movements, mecha quartz movements. They make dress watches, topical watches. The watch I'm featuring today, you could argue, is quite a topical one. It's an all stainless steel integrated bracelet sort of sports watch. These have been all the rage recently. In the last couple of years, we've seen a lot of watches that look a little bit like this, but they also sell a compressor diver, some mecha quartz chronograph watches. So yeah, there's lots of variety and quite a bit of innovation in terms of their materials. So as you can see, this is far from one of those fashion brands that just pumps out generic quartz or cheap quartz powered fashion watches that we all detest. This is definitely a brand we should be paying more attention to, I think. And I'm going to show you one of their premium automatic Miyota 9000 series powered all stainless steel watches. Now, this watch is available in a couple of sizes, 36mm, and this one, which is 41.5mm. The smaller one is powered by the Miyota 9039, so it is a no date watch. This one has the Miyota 9015 in it, and there is a date complication on the dial, so no ghost position. I think I would have preferred something in between the two, maybe 38, 39mm. But yeah, it is good that they're offering similar looking watches in a couple of different sizes. And as you would hope, the specifications are pretty good. Now, they've done something that I've said in the past I wish brands wouldn't do, but actually it's okay on this particular watch. They've used 3 different types of steel finishing on this watch. I always think 2 is enough. Polished and brushed, or bead blasted and brushed, or bead blasted and polished. I don't think we need all 3. The bead blasted surfaces are very discreet. They've definitely finished the primary surfaces, the one that you see the most when you're wearing the watch, with brushing and polishing. And I have to say, I was very, very pleasantly surprised when I unboxed this watch and saw the finishing. Again, I think I was a bit too quick to judge. I didn't think the finishing would be as good as it is. The brushing is very, very nice. You might think all brushing's the same, but it isn't, trust me. I've seen a lot of watches now, and some brushing just looks a bit flat and uninteresting, doesn't play with the light very much. Some brushing can just be very coarse and almost too rough. This is about right. It's, yeah, got some light play on it, and the contrasting finishing, the joins, if you like, the transitions from one to the other are really crisp. And I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting the polished surfaces to be this bright and flat and reflective. Yeah, the finishing is really, really good. As is the overall feel of the watch. It does feel like a quality watch. Now, we do have an integrated bracelet, which is very popular these days. It looks good. H-link bracelet. Decent amount of taper on this bracelet as well. There is a butterfly clasp, which you would expect with a bracelet like this. Now, these are 7mm links. There is no half link, and that is quite a common choice or decision that brands make these days, to not produce or provide a half link when the links are around 7mm long. If the links were 10mm long, it would be a massive problem, and I've complained about it in the past on other watches. But when the links are 7mm long, it's less of an issue. It's still going to be an issue for some people who are particular about the fit of their watches, but I think for most people they'll find a decent fit. And the bracelet, like the case, is nicely finished, although there are no polished surfaces on the bracelet. You've got two types of finishing: bead blasted and brushing. I think I'd have liked to have seen some polishing on the bracelet. Very nice links though, lots of taper, which I like. The butterfly clasp is decent, the links are solid, the end links are solid. Split pins, not screw pins. It's better than pin and collar, and actually some people prefer split pins over screw pins. Screw pins can undo. I like screw pins personally, but yeah, split pins, that's okay. One thing that is a little bit disappointing, I was expecting 2 pieces of sapphire crystal. There is sapphire crystal covering the dial, but the crystal in the case back is mineral crystal, 50 meters of water resistance. I think that's okay. I wasn't expecting any more. You've got 2 pieces of crystal, which always increases the risk of water getting into the case. You've just got more failure points. And with them using the Miyota 9000 series movement, they've tried to make this watch as thin as possible. That's why people use this movement. And had they given it a higher water resistance rating, they would have needed to use thicker crystals, which would have sort of defeated the object. So yeah, a screwed down case back, a screw down crown, really nice crown actually, really small, petite. It's okay, not the easiest to use, but it's finished very, very nicely. As is the dial, the applied indices, the hands, they are single facet hands. I would have liked to have seen dual facet hands on this watch. Dual facet hands have a little bit more light play. They look a little bit more premium. Flat polished hands like this can just look, well, they are very one-dimensional, aren't they? And they just don't look quite as premium as other hands. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen some different hands, but yeah, proportionally it all works. And the bezel is a real feature, isn't it? You've got 4 polished facets on that bezel, some sort of large polished areas, and then the surface, the top surface of that bezel is brushed. The contrast between the two is really, really nice. Lots of light play on this dial. Yeah, this is definitely not the sort of watch I was expecting when I first discovered this brand. Like I said, I think I misjudged this brand. They say you should never judge a book by its cover. Maybe you should never judge a watch company by the adverts that they promote and, you know, all that sort of stuff, because I definitely got it wrong initially when I discovered this brand. And yeah, I think they've shown that they offer something a little bit different. Now, if you like this watch, you might want to wait for the Black Friday sales, because that is when they offer discounts. Luckily, the Black Friday sales are fast approaching, aren't they? And you can generally get 15% off their watches. This watch is £679. I think that is too much for this particular watch. There are a few weaknesses on it. Yeah, split pins, 1 piece of sapphire crystal, no half links. I would expect to have seen this watch for, yeah, a little bit less than that. But you will be able to pick up some of their watches discounted during the upcoming Black Friday sale. This one may not interest you, but I think their website's worth taking a look at, because, yeah, they do produce some really quite interesting watches. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, as always, massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. I do appreciate it.